Hi, so this is a close-up of the cowl I just made with the lovely brooch on it. You usually put buttons down here. You can put 3 buttons or 2 buttons or just one big button, but I didn't have any, so I used the brooch and it's actually looked really pretty. Now this is just decorative because I've actually sewn up down this side and I've sewn up this side to where it meets up here. And you don't have to do that, because if you didn't sew it and if you wanted to actually sew buttons on here and put them through a hole, then you could actually open this up and use it as a very short scarf. But I just like to leave it all closed up. I just like to pull it over my head and that's fine. So this is the pattern and it's got quite a bit of stretch to it and it's really lovely and it's soft. So you can use any yarn, any weight yarn, any thickness, any size hook, children, adults, males, women, it doesn't really matter who you make this for. I think just depending on your colour, it's lovely. And it's a simple pattern that shows the colours of the yarn. I just think it's really lovely. So I'm starting with this colour because it's not the one I wanted to actually make for a friend, but I think you can see this easier. And I'm going to do the Chainless Foundation to start. So basically I did 7 inches of chain and then I just did the scarf as long as I wanted it. And I think I did 31 inches. But probably I'd make the next one for myself about 28 inches maybe. 29. I sort of put it around my neck and I try it as I go, and I will show that as I work through. So I don't like doing just chains and then arrive double crochet or single crochet if you're in the US, because my tension is so bad I end up with a very, very tight edge to whatever I make. So my favourite, as most of you might know now, is a Chainless Foundation. So I am going to start with that and I'll show you how I do that, even though I do have a separate tutorial on it. But I will put a timestamp so that if you want to do your own chains, you can just jump forward to the actual pattern. So I'm going to make a slip knot, so I go over twice. I just hold it down, bring the back one forward and bring the back one forward and right over my finger. And there it is. Took me so long to learn to do that. Months, in fact. So don't forget, if you're a total beginner, you can do this. You just pause. You pause every step of the way if you need to. It doesn't matter. There's no competition on speed. It's just getting things accomplished. So chain 4. Yarn over. And when you go back into your 4th chain, right at the beginning here, pick up both loops. Oops. Sometimes I say it doesn't matter on some patterns I'm showing, but this time it just says pick up both loops. Yarn over, pull it back through those 2 loops. Yarn over, pull it back through 1 loop. Yarn over, pull it back through 2 loops. And yarn over and pull it back through 2 loops. So keep it this direction. Now what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over and see these 2, this V here looks like a V, upside down V, and this other upside down V. If you turn it slightly, there's some chains on that side. We're going to go into this one at the bottom of that second V, only because it's easier. Some people could sneak into that chain there. I'm going to go right down the end. So yarn over, miss that first V, miss that second V, and just at the bottom of this V here, if you turn over and make sure you pick up both loops, just like it's a stitch, and I do find it's a bit fiddly to start with, but it's worth persevering. Yarn over, bring it back through those 2 loops. Yarn over, bring it back through 1 loop, yarn over, bring it back through 2 loops, and yarn over and back through 2 loops. So we'll keep doing that until it gets to the desired length, about 6 or 7 inches. Or if you're a heavier build and you want it slightly bigger for your neck or over your head, then you can make it 8 or 9 inches, especially for a male. So you just work it for as long as you like. So yarn over. Now there's the 2 V's. There's the other 2. We're going to go in this one just underneath it and pick up both loops. Usually it just slides through, but of course it won't because I'm filming. Yarn over, bring it back through both loops. Yarn over, back through 1 loop. Yarn over, back through 2. Yarn over, back through 2. So you're slowly growing, and don't worry that it starts curving, because that curve is not there by the time you have finished. It is just at the start it curves. Don't worry about it. Yarn over. So you've got your V, you've got your second V. We're going to go just below that V, just in here. So you were holding it like this, and here's your first V and your second V, and you were working back in down here with your chains along the bottom. But what we want to do now is turn it and work in these beautiful, lovely chains that you have along the end. See how perfect they are? So it's worth persevering to learn to do this. Even though it does look awkward, it's because I'm using a bigger hook. So while it's been held like this, just turn it just slightly, so these are now on top. And we're going to start our actual pattern. Now I chain 3. There's many different patterns you can use for this. Yarn over. Now I don't go back into that very same space underneath the chain. I do on some things, but this time I didn't. I'm going to go into the very next set of stitches, but I'm going to use the back loop, and we'll be going into the back loop only, just the back. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through 2, and yarn over, pull it through 2. Do that again. Yarn over into the next one, into the back of the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through, and you'll just repeat that right to the end of the row. It is very simple but very effective. And because you're not including the front of the stitch, that's what gives you that lovely little bump along there. So just to keep going to the end of the row, and I will meet you back at the end. So I'm back at the end of this row again, and you work into your last stitches here, and there's the one with the stitch marker. When I pick it up, I just go into the back and then grab my yarn. And so this is what it's starting to look like, and it's reversible. It's the same on both sides. Now don't worry that it pokes out here when you pull it, because as you work up it goes back into shape. So as you can see, it's the same on both sides. So it's just a very easy pattern. You could use this for a baby blanket or a top or anything you like. So I just think it's really pretty. So I'll come back later and show you how I make sure it's the right size for my neck by measuring it around my neck, and how I sew it together. Okay, it's back again. So I have finished the basic cowl. I haven't sewn it in any of my ends yet, because I'll show you how I put it on. So it's approximately 7 inches across, and it's approximately 29 or 30 inches long. So you'll just learn to do the length that suits you. The first one's always a practice. So this is how I get the sizing anyway for me, is I put it on and I turn the collar down, and you have one of the points, doesn't matter which way you do it, but I'm going to cover this because I don't like this. So you have one of the points down, and it goes like this. move that over a bit. The first time I did this with the other cowl, it was just, it took me forever. So anyway, so what I did is I sewed up these two outside edges here to hold it. And then I had a variety of buttons you can put on, or like I used a brooch. So I went to the second-hand shop and found some things. Or you can have 2 smaller ones, or you can have 3 smaller ones. So this yarn isn't the one I was going to start with. I was going to do a lovely velvet purple colour, but because I started with this light green, it was easier for you to see in a tutorial. But this, if you're interested, is a Lion Brand Landscapes. It's 134 meters. So I have this left. Of course, if you're using a thinner baby yarn to do smaller ones, or you're using a huge, great big bulky yarn, you're going to use a different amount. So, and I don't tell people how many stitches because I just do everything different. I'm a bit different. But this will stretch if you want it to. You can wear it up nice and high or down low. So I'm going to sew this up and get rid of my ends. And I'll put a little button on it and just show you what it looks like. So yeah, but that's how you put it on. And so what I do, because I get so confused, is I put my 2 points together with a stitch marker of where I'm going to be sort of sewing. Because when I took it off last time, I got so confused when it turned inside out and went every which way. So that just sort of holds it until I sew up the sides. You don't have to sew it, because if you actually, if you put buttons underneath here, this is actually big enough to push a button through if your stitches aren't really tight. So you don't have to sew them together. And the button, if I sewed it together, would sit on top being decorative. But if you want to undo it, you could have the button just here and just undo it if it's easier for you, but just pulling it on and off over my head. So that's what a stripy one looks like, and it's a little bit tighter on me. I like it. So this was the other one, which I absolutely adore, but it's a little bit longer, so it's got a little bit bulkier neck room. Probably my crochet was a bit looser. So there you go. It was just a really simple thing to make, and I'm going to be making a lot of them because I love them. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you have a go at making one. It's just really pretty. And yeah, go to the second-hand shops, find yourself some brooches, go and ask your mum and your grandma if they've got any brooches they don't want. People don't seem to wear them anymore. So yeah, I really like the finished product. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's very simple. I try and make things very simple on this channel so that everyone can have a go, even if you're a beginner. I've only been crocheting since July, so July, August, September, October, and it's now November. So just over 3 months, or about 3.5 months I've been crocheting. So it's very simple. So if you're doing knitting, the same thing, you just knit 7 or 8 inches wide, 29 or 30 inches long, any pattern you like, and it's just folding it. It's just how you fold it.